What's going on, guys? It's VPA POV, Valuable People Attract People of Value podcast, episode 3. It's about to go down, man. I'm excited. It's Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I focus on repairing, evaluating, and giving you the tools to maintain healthy relationships. I just want to say this. Whenever you listen to my podcast or if you're ever in the room with me, this is a safe place. This is a grace place. And you will not leave without a ton of love. I got some amazing guests here, some wise, some brilliant people. I have rubbed shoulders with these people, and they have impacted lives all across the world. And I want to start by letting them introduce themselves because I'll be messing stuff up. Let's start with the beautiful lady, Danielle. Tell us what you do, what you doing out there.
Hi, y'all. I'm Danielle Touche. I am the owner of Love Billboard, which is a Christian-based clothing line. I'm also an author, wrote a book called God Locked Out, and I'm just out here trying to do what God's telling me to do.
My name is Hassani, and my wife and I, we have a private practice called Couples Academy, and we really work with couples who are in crisis, those on the verge of divorce, those impacted by an affair who are trying to figure out how to restore their relationship. So we've written 14 books. We've hosted a number of television shows, reality talk, and we do conferences all around the world.
Hey, what's going on, world? It's the versatile DJ Fidel, hence the name DJ. I am a worldwide DJ. In addition to that, I'm also a licensed contractor, licensed realtor, award-winning author. I'm just a man out here trying to make things happen. I wake up every morning telling myself I will be the reason someone doesn't give up today. My wife and I are partners in real estate. We own a business. And aside from that, you'll get to hear more the further we get into this conversation.
And that conversation we are going to get into.
Let's go.
The hot topic. The topic we kind of skim around sometimes in most industries, but we're not skimming around it no more. We are going to bring the heat, go deep today. The topic is how important is the sex? Right out the gate, because I'm organic when I flow with this. Hassani, can you just define what is sex? Because I think we talk about how important is sex, and people look at sex and hear the word sex and only define it as two people in a bed getting it on.
That's a good question.
Well, wow. Okay. Well, when I think of sex, that's what I do think of. But when I think of sexual intimacy, I think it's something completely different. And I think a lot of times couples are having sex, but there's no intimacy in their sex. And so therefore there's no emotional connection. There's no bonding. There's no companionship. It's almost like a prostitute-John relationship where we come together and have physical intercourse and go our separate ways. And I think the biggest piece of the puzzle, the biggest ingredient that's missing is the into-me-see aspect of your sexuality.
Okay, now here's what we're not going to do. You're not going to drop that last bar on me and not give me a little more on that into you, me, see.
So from a biblical perspective, right?
Okay.
In Genesis, there's a scripture that says a man should leave his father and mother, cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one.
Yes.
So there's a sense of oneness. But oneness shows up in 4 areas. There's spiritual intimacy, there is emotional intimacy, there's intellectual intimacy, and then there's sexual intimacy. And when you're connected in all 4 areas, that is true oneness. So when you're coming together to have sex with your spouse, you're bringing all of who you are, not just your body. You're bringing your heart, your soul, your mind, your intellect, your emotions, your past, your present, your future. Everything goes into that act. So it's more than just a deposit that's being made. You're actually creating something above and beyond yourself.
Delph, what do you got stirring up over there? I already can tell without even looking at you that you're thinking of something to answer that.
Brother, listen, what is sex? I think the brother just answered it to a T.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To a T.
So if two people out there, how they talk about, I'm blowing her back out. He put that thing on me. She put that thing on. So they're not really per se having sex. They're having a part of sex.
Right.
Or a piece of sex.
Right.
For the most part.
Is that why the sex, the sex could be great, but based on what Hassani just said, the sex could actually be greater if you listen to what he just said.
Oh, no, without a doubt. It can definitely be greater. The part which lacks in a lot of relationships as to why they seem to dissipate is the fact of there's no mental intimacy, no sensual intimacy. We are not on one accord, right? So one of the things I say a lot on a lot of panels is fun and like are 2 things that we seem to undermine in relationships. If I'm not having fun or if I don't like the person I'm with, over time, I tend to resent that person, right? And if I'm resenting them, I'm not having fun, I don't like them, but we may have amazing chemistry in bed. If that's the only thing we have, over time, it becomes a lackluster to where now, because that doesn't exist, there's no more intimacy because we never had anything outside of that. So when that seems to dissipate, there's nothing left, right? So I need all of those other avenues in order for the sex to be that great or greater.
I think that's a great point. You know, I've heard before that love lasts for hours. Sex lasts for minutes. Orgasms last for seconds.
Right.
And oftentimes we do everything for a second of pleasure, not realizing all the other components that are involved that make a relationship really work.
Right.
It's good.
Wow, that's good. So I got a question. First question coming to Danielle.
Yeah. I had a comment.
Okay,
comment
yeah,
about
let's hear your comment.
I think that I agree 100% with what you guys said. And I think that's the reason, that's how God designed it. And that's how it should be. That's how we should experience it within its proper context. So when I look at sex, I see sex like fire, right? Fire. And what is the best place? Where is the best place for fire to be? Within a fireplace, right? In its proper context. So when it's in a fireplace, it's giving off warmth, it's giving off light, it's giving off ambiance, it's beautiful and you want to be around it. But when you take that fire and place it outside of its proper context and it hits those curtains or it hits this carpet, it is going to set everything on fire. And this is why people are burning. And this is why houses are falling down. This is why this stuff is happening, because we've taken sex outside of what God intended it for and we've perverted it. And now we're burning. Literally sometimes.
Danielle, 2 words.
Yes.
Stealing it.
You can have it.
Okay. You know, I'm glad you
Mention me once and it is yours.
I'm glad you went down that lane. Because
Yeah.
the question is, what should you do when you want to wait, but your partner does not want to wait?
That's so good.
I love my partner. I love him. I love her.
Can y'all
but
hear him?
he don't want to wait. She don't
He don't
want to
wanna
wait. What am I going to do? I'm burning.
So I had an amazing experience with that. So I met this guy, right? And I let him know, hey, I'm abstaining from sex until marriage, right? He was like, cool, I still want to get to know you. So we got to know each other for 4 years, y'all. Without having sex, for 4 years, we got to know one another.
Yikes.
And then I saw the little twist, right? He's putting me in the friend zone. So I'm like, okay, I'm the homie now after 4 years.
Yeah,
but the relationship, but the relationship that we built from that 4 years was so good. When I lost my father, he was there. When I was trying to start my business, he was there. We were real good friends, but we got to a point where he just couldn't wait anymore. So I became the homie. He met another girl. They start having sex. Now, this is something that he told me because he came back to me and said, hey, I'm having a problem in my relationship now because I can't trust her. And I'm looking at you and I see how you stay faithful within our relationship to what God has placed over your life. So I feel like I can trust. I want to marry a woman like that, where I can, if she honors God with her body, I know she's going to honor the marriage with her body. And with this girl I'm with, though she says she's a Christian, she has not honored God and was faithful to him. So how can I expect her to be faithful to me if she's not even faithful to God? And so then he's like, so what you think? You stay over there, you made your decision, and I'm gonna stay here. So I've been in that situation before. And yes, I really like that person. I could have seen myself being with that person, but they made a decision not to wait. And there we go.
So here's the thing, though. Now, they didn't wait. Let's say, what about the people we out there getting it in? What about the people out there getting it in? Are they doomed?
What
Is
you
the
mean?
relationship not going to work?
What you mean?
Because there's people that have sex before marriage and they actually end up having hit. And I really want Hassani to answer this because even statistically, in terms of like the Christian world or godly world, you know, the divorce rate is very high. And there's people having sex outside of marriage and they have bomb relationships that are lasting forever.
Yeah. I think that's a good question. You know, we just did a 2-part series literally this week. Is your marriage doomed? So it's funny you use that word. So if you have sex before you get married, is your relationship doomed? No, I don't believe that. There's many people who've had sex before getting married. But what I will say is, The sooner you incorporate sex into the relationship, that takes on the main focus of that relationship. That's the main form of your communication. That's the main way in which you interact. There's something called relational. It's called relational lag, right? Relationship developmental lag. There we go. According to relationship developmental lag, if you've been in a 1-year relationship with someone, but let's just say you entered into that sexship within that relationship a month in. According to relationship developmental lag, your relationship is only 1 month old. Because it didn't have the proper amount of time to develop.
Grow.
Because I know more about your breast, your penis, your vagina, your hips, your thighs than I do your interests, your passions, your desires. I didn't give enough time to properly develop the relationship outside of sex, because you go through 4 seasons of a successful relationship. You have the dating season, you have committed courtship, you have engagement, and then marriage. So sex technically was designed for after I do the last season. When you bring it in prior to that, you rob the season of what it needs to properly develop. Imagine picking a fruit from a tree too soon. It's not ripe yet. So you bite into it, it's bitter. If you pick it too late, now it's rotten. You bite into it, it's spoiled, right? So there's timing to everything. And the right thing, sex, at the wrong time can produce the wrong outcome. So there's a vulnerability that you have in that relationship when you bring sex in, that you have to work through and overcome if you decide to move forward and have and get married. So there are challenges.
I'm going to toy with that just a little bit.
Yes, toy with
Play with it
That's so good.
as a devil advocate in a sense, right? Because I'm totally with him. But here's the key, because I know there's people out there thinking, well, I'm an atheist. None of what you guys said so far is triggering me. Yes. Right? Yes. So you have someone, I'm going to take it on a construction standpoint. The way you just said it is somewhat of a blueprint. Okay. And with any blueprint, things can be changed to fit the need of how I live. Okay. So you have that person sitting home right now saying, I agree totally with what he just said. But here's the thing. As a matter of fact, I'll throw myself in there. My mindset was, when I met my wife, the first day I saw her, I said, that's my wife. Never knew her, don't know her, but I had this inner me saying, that's her. I asked my wife to marry me a month in. Not, will you marry me tomorrow? Let's go to the court and get it done. It was saying, when the time comes and I really asked, will you say yes? And she said yes. We both knew this is my mate, but we couldn't pinpoint as to why and what it was, right? So I say that to say, we consummated our relationship early, and we've been together 17 years. And in that 17 years, we still know to this day, we knew, right? So if I was to had went by what the quote unquote standard should be for the world, we may not have gone on this long, because we follow what was written, right? So for those listening, I would say, yes, look at the blueprint, but to each his own. Make it work for you and yours, right? Because everyone doesn't live the same, especially as life changes, generations changes, things, more influences, things change. What was written in the Constitution when it was first written doesn't exist anymore. We need to change that, So there is a blueprint, but you have to do it for your lifestyle.
Can I really quick? So it was interesting that you said what's written in the Constitution needs to change. And I agree. It's stuff written in our Constitution right now that needs to change because it wasn't written exclusive for everybody. But I think when we talk about sex and we talk about our bodies, that was written by God. And that cannot be changed, right?
No, I'm not talking about our bodies and what we do with it.
Okay.
Right? I'm saying, for instance, you have several relationship gurus, relationship coaches, relationship this, that state when they'll get on the stage and say, well, everyone is take out the everyone part.
So, because in the Word of God and like that blueprint that you said that he was saying, that is everyone. That is, now I'm not saying that if you have sex before marriage and then you get married to that person, your marriage is doomed. What we said, I'm not saying that, because you can definitely work, those things out. I'm saying it is important for us to first honor God before we try to honor each other, right? It's like a triangle. So the closer that we get to God and that we are honoring him, the closer that we are together. Instead of doing it like this and staying at the bottom, we're doing it like this. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying if you had sex before marriage and now your marriage is doomed, because you have people who don't have sex and then they get married, especially within the church, and they don't even know how to communicate with one another with sex, because the church and the word, you know what I mean? Not the word, but church has made us fearful of our bodies and our emotions and how we feel. So it could be both ways.
Right. So now let me add to that. So again, I agree with everyone's point of view. This is not me negating it, but this is just for me pretending to be the person at home, that atheist sitting on the couch saying, but I've never been to church, never will go to church.
But that atheist.
But wait, right? With regard with what you said, but if you go up to God and you honor to God and you do it like this, there are those, again, that have never opened up a Bible and have long-lasting relationships, right?
Yeah.
And then there are those that do everything the word says and have the worst relationships.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
So I'm saying that to say is that, again, that person sitting at home is saying that's not true. I've never been. I'm 55 years old. I never opened the Bible. What are you talking about?
But this is why we can't live in absolutes, right? Because anytime we make anything an absolute, you can find any example to throw off what I just said. It's a blueprint, right? It's a floor plan, if you will. It's a guide that many people live their lives by. But even if you take Christianity completely off the table, we counsel people all over the world. So we work with Muslims. We work with atheists. Didn't know it at the time, with witches and Wiccans. Did not know it. We've worked with all people of all backgrounds and all faith traditions, and what we have still found is that sex just complicates things.
Yeah.
So regardless of your spiritual affiliation or whatever the case may be, sex can complicate things. And I think that many people come into these sex ships or these flesh connections with so much baggage sometimes, in terms of what we associated with sex and what sex means to us. Many people use sex as a form of manipulation and control.
Yeah.
Many people use sex because I want to feel loved and I need to get attention. So I use this to get what I'm missing on the inside of me. So when you this is why it's important to have working operational definitions with your partner.
Right.
Because if you both subscribe to the same belief system and value system and relational code of ethics, sex will work for you. For other couples, it may not work for, because we're showing up for different things. I mean, there's 4 purposes for sex generally. You have procreation, children.
Yep.
You have communication, because that's one of the ways I can truly express how much I love you. You have recreation, let's get it in. And then you have ejaculation or release.
Right.
So if I'm showing up looking for ejaculation and you're showing up looking for communication, what could have been this amazing experience is now weird and awkward and uncomfortable and stop and, oh God, just forget it.
Yeah.
Right? So there's got to be a vibe and a connection.
Yeah.
And sex is one of the things we love to do but hate to talk about.
And
And
hold on a second.
Really quick, going back to,
Go ahead,
you said something, I think both of you guys said something about atheists, and this is the thing. When it comes to, let's say, sex, we're talking about the flesh, we're talking about the body. So if you have someone that is atheist and says, well, I've been atheist all my life and I've had amazing relationships, but we got to understand we have to always keep eternity as a backdrop in our minds, because we're only going to be on this life. Even 100 years is too short. Right? So we're going to be in this world, on this earth. And when that is over, we have to take into account for our eternity. And then what does sex really mean when we measure it up to eternity? So you can have somebody that says, oh, I'm atheist and I don't follow this, but I'm just going to do I'm going to do what I want to do. But then what does that look like when you face it up to eternity? The flesh and sex really means nothing. So you can say, I've had great relationships. I had sex. I didn't go by what God said. And then you lose your soul. What is it to lose your soul? What is it for a man to gain the world, but yet lose his very soul? So sex should be the last thing you're worried about. We should worry about where we are for eternity.
To all my listeners and all my viewers, I just want to let you know, if you somewhere getting it on right now, listening to this message, or if you're getting it on after this message, or you was getting it on before you press play on this message, I just want to let you know your body is still the temple. You're beautifully and you're wonderfully made.
There we go.
Your body is still the temple. You're beautifully and you're wonderfully made. So we touching on this, how important is sex. Now let's check it out. We in the sex. We in the relationship. We're in the sex. We may get married. We may not get married. And I find this interesting though. People can exchange body fluids, but not vows.
And not like
that's getting real crazy with me right now. Like,
we
don't want to get married, but you want to. Here's look. I told y'all it's gonna get a little.
Stay right there.
Hold on, I'm gonna get a little fuzzy because here's the thing: you can get down on your knees and give me head, but I can't get down on my knee and propose to you. This is getting
I'm
funky.
supposed to give you my body, but you can't even give me your last name.
That's what I'm. Look, if I'm willing to walk you in the bedroom, I should be willing to walk you down the aisle.
Let's go.
Now listen. Now we gonna go. We in the marriage. Let's say we in the marriage. We in the relationship, and I know my man Hassan, he got something for it. We in the marriage. Because I hear people like, how important is the sex? Whether you're a believer or non-believer, forget all of that.
So now
you're in the marriage. You're in the
Okay.
relationship. Maybe you're not even married. You're in the relationship. The sex is going good. Because it's always dynamite the first couple weeks, days, however long, you know what I mean? Years go by. I hear people talking about, and I think I heard you say this one time we were on a panel, scheduling sex.
Yeah.
When you first said it to me, that day, I was married, and I was like, schedule, like, hold the heck up, man.
Like Monday, sex.
I'm a kind of like
Tuesday,
a spontaneous
sex.
dude. Like, you bend over, put the load in. I'm like, hey, come here. That wasn't scheduled. So, I mean.
Well, see, here's the deal, right? So when you think about the top 5 things that impact a marriage the most, communication,
Yes.
parenting, in-laws, finance, and sex. Those are the top 5. And when it comes to sexuality, here's the reality. You have a lot of people who have a desire for it, but they don't prioritize it. You know, if there's been unresolved issues, hurts and pains, if there's been infidelity, betrayals, whatever the case may be, they both want their sex life to get back into a nice rhythm. But there's all types of where I'm reading your body language and I get the sense that you're not in it and you don't want it, though I want to approach, I just don't know how. And so when I'm sitting in sessions with clients, literally, first of all, there's so many sexual marital patterns. I wish we had time to get into it. But one of them is called the sexless marriage. And the sexless marriage is a couple who has sex anywhere between once a month and 10 times a year.
Oh my God!
Now,
Hold on, brother. Let's all take a pause and
That's
pray.
real.
Whoever that couple is, please, God, give Asani the skills to bring life back to the graveyard. Once
that's
a
real.
month.
But you would be surprised how common that is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I've had couples, literally, I was just in a session 2 days ago. A young couple in their 30s, they haven't had sex in 18 months.
18 months.
Because he, not her, he was holding on to an issue that he didn't articulate and so would shut her down. Every attempt that she made, he wasn't interested. 18 months not having sex. There was one couple, they were married for 35 years. They hadn't had sex in 10 years.
Wow.
That's a prison sentence.
Before you continue with that, with what you're saying, 10 years. This is where were they believers?
No, they weren't.
Okay, so they weren't believers. Okay,
Nope.
so I can't go down the lane. Go ahead, continue, because I was going to say
So
something.
what I'm saying is it's important to prioritize your sex
Yes.
life. And just like we operate according to calendars and schedules, when you're building a home, there's a schedule, right? When you're working on your job, there's a calendar.
What does that
when
schedule
you're
look
trying to accomplish anything in life, you have a timeline. Well, you should prioritize your marriage with a schedule. So this is what we encourage. When couples are out of sync, your first logical step, we encourage them to have a what we call a sexual day and a sensual day. Sexual day involves penetration. Sensual day does not require it, but if it's good and it goes there, boom.
Great.
But you want to get back in a rhythm of touching. When couples stop touching, it's an indication that something's wrong. One of the first areas that people struggle with is sex. And oftentimes, and then we'll go to you, it has usually nothing to do with their physical
Right.
bodies.
Ooh.
It's an emotional or relational issue, unresolved, and it peeks its ugly head or rears its ugly head in the area of their sexuality.
That's
That was
so
good, brother.
You said so
That was
much.
good.
Like you said so much there. I remember when I was about to get a divorce and my aunt looked at me and said, "Where are y'all?" And I said, "It's over. It's over." And she's like, "Do me a favor." She's like, "Are y'all still in the household together?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we are." She said, "Do me a favor. Where do you sleep?" And I said, "I sleep in the bedroom." "Where does he sleep?" "He sleeps in the other room." And she said, do me a favor, climb in the bed with him tonight. Y'all, you don't have to say anything. Just touch one another. You would be surprised how just touching and how being close to one another would help so much.
So true.
And you know what? I did it. I didn't do it. I didn't climb in the bed. I stepped outside of the marriage. And it wasn't because the sex wasn't good in my marriage. It was because the intimacy was lacking so much that I felt like I want to feel special. I want to feel, and then you step outside. I stepped outside my marriage, had sex with somebody else. And it was just like what you said earlier. It was like a prostitution John exchange. Yeah. That person wanted whatever sex from me. And I wanted to feel what I wasn't feeling from my husband. And what did it do? It set fire, it ruined and destroyed our marriage. And another thing you said, communication. So sometimes you can date. I remember talking to a guy and he was like, hey, I'm having a problem with pornography. So then when he's having conversation with his wife, he's expecting her to be the porn star that he's able to tap into.
We need to pause right there.
Okay, let's pause.
Hold on. Before
that's
you,
a whole nother
hold on. This is how important is sex for all my people that's listening. You're going to continue with this porn thing, but show me what this schedule looks like. So it's Friday. We scheduling sex. Because I'm so spontaneous. It's like, okay, if I schedule my sex for Saturday.
Wait, scheduling sex doesn't mean that it removes the spontaneity.
Right.
We're saying at a bare minimum, you should come together on these particular days. And if you have sex outside of that day, that's just icing on the cake.
Right.
We're saying, like, if we can't get to the spontaneity, boom, we got to. But here's the deal. So Friday sex night, right? So on Monday, I'm like, girl, this Friday. So what is that doing? That's building up anticipation. That's building up excitement because we know what we're going to do. So there's something you're reaching towards, striving towards, anticipating, preparing yourself. If I'm working 12-hour shifts and I'm exhausted physically, you're working with the kids, you're emotionally exhausted. We're carving this time out, a sacred space to prepare ourselves to be our best selves.
Yes,
because if I'm tapping on your shoulder, 11 o'clock at night, you tired, you rolling over, I'm not getting the best of you anyway.
No, right.
That's good.
You see what I'm saying? So we want to turn this into an event. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I want you to answer the pornography thing.
Oh, man.
So really quick.
Hold on, before you get to the pornography, let me talk to that person that is saying just what you're saying, brother, as far as, well, I'm not scheduling nothing. Here's the key to that scheduling thing. It may take one person to do it. It might be the silent scheduling. And what I mean by that is be strategic with it. You don't ever have to say Friday it's on. Monday, just start. For instance, let's say it's a guy or a man. Monday, you've never done the dishes. She's been asking you to do the dishes forever.
There you go.
Monday, start doing the dishes. There you go. Tuesday,
that's gonna work.
It's not a reason to buy her flowers, but you buy her flowers.
There you go.
Wednesday, you just out of nowhere say, listen, Friday, you know what? Wear that red dress, you just because, no reason. But in your head, you leading up to what you want to do on Friday, right? Thursday come, you go, girl, what you doing tomorrow? Because you know. Then Friday comes, you done built her up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you silently on your own strategically schedule a date night, a get it on night for Friday. So it's the same thing for those that might not want to word it. You strategically do it. Say, man, we've been arguing all month.
That's right.
Now, I'm personally going to drop my ego and say, set this whole week up to where I can see her Friday.
As a woman, I would appreciate both, because if it's Friday, then I can go buy what I need to buy.
She already went to buy.
But if it's this spontaneous thing, both of them are great.
But see,
that comes from communication.
That's a perfect combination. Because truth be told, being transparent, I mean, as men. So my wife would sometimes say to me, how come the only time you touch me is when you want to have sex? So if you're not touching me, then I already know, all right, you're good. But as soon as you start touching, and so to your point, you're sowing those seeds.
Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
And so she doesn't feel used, because a lot of wives feel used like a prostitute. You don't want me. You just want what you have access to.
Now, here's the thing with that,
too. Even in it, so you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Even outside of marriage, for people, we're not going to talk too much about the dating part, but people that are dating, there's men out there, smooth Casanovas, that are assassins. They sowing them seeds. They're like, yo, I'm going to wait 5 months, 6 months.
But here's the thing that's going to happen, too, even with that man. And I'm saying man because for the most part, what you lacked at home is what a lot of men just tend to not realize. And we've said it so far. A lot of the love languages have been spoken about, the communication, affection, touch, right? A lot of men don't understand that. unfortunately, and I apologize to you women because you guys got it hard. I really do. The thing is this, when the man tends to do that silently or strategically plan, you realize that, you know what? I like this. I like the feeling of her feeling good because when she feels good, it comes back to me.
Right.
So if you continuously do that, like you may have an ego, you may have a pride about saying, "Oh, you look nice today." Like some people feel uncomfortable complimenting people, so they don't know how to. They've never been taught by another man. Hey, listen, when your wife walks in the house, you hold the door for her. When your wife, but when they try to do it on their own, they're like, why am I holding the door for? Like they feel weird.
Right.
So when they get into that mode of practicing what they receive back, they're like, oh, I like this. I want to do more of it. And then before you know it, you're a month in, you're like, man, we've been having a lot more sex. What happened?
Like, for instance, let's do a quick experiment. Tanya, I want you to look at Jamel, and I want you to look into his eyes, and I want you to say, this is what I want you to say, penetrate me.
I can't say that.
It's just follow my flow.
I'm not going to
follow
that way.
If this is my husband, if this was
flow.
my husband, I would tell my husband penetrate.
Right. Now, what she means is penetrate my heart.
Right.
Penetrate my soul. Because if you can penetrate her emotions, her body comes along with it. We are more physical, so all we want, breast, vagina, hips, thighs, butt, that's all we're thinking about. But the way to get there is through her heart. So how you show up outside of the bedroom by creating an emotional connection, romance, loving on her, speaking words into her life, that's how you get her body. And she's willing to give all of herself to you in that phase.
And in order to, like a testament to that, when I was married, my husband at the time was just really focused on his job, right? His business. At the time, I didn't have my own business, so I couldn't understand like the mindset of an entrepreneur. You wake up, you eat, sleep is the business 100%. At the time, I wasn't. I was a cop at the time, so I learned how to turn it off when I'm home. So and I remember I asked him a question. I said, when you are on the phone with your friends or you're all talking about your business, you laugh different. I remember saying that to him. I said, you laugh different. I said, you don't laugh like that when me and you are hanging out or when me and you are talking. And it completely went over his head. But as a testament to you, it was that emotional thing that I was missing. For him, it was always work. So when we got into the bedroom, I'm like, I'm not having sex with you. What am I getting? Because just me having sex and me having an orgasm or me whatever, that's nothing to me. What am I getting out of this? You didn't open the door. You didn't. True. You know what I mean? So then in a marriage, women are withholding because they're not getting what, they're not feeling like they're getting equal or being taken care of. So that's totally
Danielle,
a testament to that.
Let me ask you something, right?
Yeah.
You told him, you don't laugh that way with me. And you started off this conversation by saying you didn't understand the life of an entrepreneur.
Yep.
So my question to you is this. Did you ever at any point engage in anything that he was interested in? I'm talking about heavily to where the point it was like, oh, shit, you want to come with me or you want to do this with me?
I was so insecure about his business. I was so jealous that his business was getting so much attention from him. I would not.
Okay. So.
Nope. I remember him. Okay.
That part is where he was probably saying, she's not here with me. So I'm not going to laugh with her about my business because as an entrepreneur, when you're in relationships, right? And let's say you're in relationships and one of them is a 9-to-5er, right? And they don't understand. So you're telling them about all these amazing ideas, how you're going to create a rocket or you're going to take over the world. And they're like,
yeah,
okay.
Right.
Because you're so used to the 9-to-5 mentality.
Right.
So the moment for entrepreneurs, for creative people, when you do that, that's almost like punching them in the face.
It really is.
So you do it once, they can forgive you. The second time, they're like, I'm not sharing this joy with her.
And it wasn't
until
I started.
But I don't like her.
That's so good.
So now you're looking for that same laugh, but you don't give him that same interest. And when he comes to you or her, she comes to you with how excited she is about this new thing she just created.
Right.
So now you're like, I'm not getting it. But he's not getting it either. I'm saying this because ladies always think men are not emotional, but we are, but we just come say it or express it in different ways. But we want to feel like, you're excited or you you notice my haircut, or you know, we don't get that because women think, oh, he's a man.
Yeah, that's so true.
X, Y, and Z is going to happen.
And so it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur myself and started my business where I'm waking up, eating, sleeping, Love Billboard, everything that I'm doing. And of course I thought about him, and I'm like, it wasn't that, you know. And so then my mother will call, or my niece or my brother will call, and I'm like, I'm gonna call him right back because I'm right here in this design right now. I don't want to break I don't want to break this, right? And I'm realizing, so this is real life. This happened yesterday. So I'm in a relationship now. I'm dating someone, and he has been really supportive to me these last 2 weeks. I've been going through something, so he's been super supportive. And I realized he was sitting on the couch last night, and I said, I haven't asked him once about his week, about his day. I've been so focused on, and I'm like, I don't want to be that same girl that I was and didn't get the lesson. If I don't get the lesson from my divorce, then it was all for nothing. So I'm going to take the lesson. So I looked at him and I said, hey, babe, I said, how was your day? So he said, oh, it was good. And he just stopped. Now, him stopping, I knew he's not used to me asking him that. So he's going to say it was good and that's it. And I said, well, tell me more. And he was like, oh, well, I'm working on this. You want me to show you? So for an hour, he sat there and showed me what he was doing, I can see how excited it was to him. And though I'm not even he works in venture capital, I don't know anything about venture capital and investing in business, but I said, I'm going to be into this because I love him and I want to support him in that way.
And I think that's that other form of intimacy that Hassani was talking about earlier. So if that's missing, then the flames start to go out.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And this is where I'm going down this lane intentionally, because when the flames start to go out, and I know, Hassani, you've helped thousands of couples with this. Yeah. How am I bringing these flames back? Because I don't want to just leave this person. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think, how do you bring the freakiness back? How do you bring, you know what I mean? How do I spark this sex drive back once we get in the mode? Because sometimes the sex could die, even if you're having sex every week.
Yeah. So in terms of affairs, like when people cheat, they're oftentimes looking for two things.
Yep.
New and different. They're looking for something new, and they're looking for something different.
They're bored.
And what happens is monogamy oftentimes leads to monotony, where, you know, we've been together for X amount of years. I already know what's going to happen. I already know sexually what's going to happen, what time it's going to be, what you're going to be wearing, how it's going to play itself out, same position, same everything. And you have to begin to bring new and different back into your relationship.
That's so good.
And that's what we talk about, becoming an explorer, exploring a new reality together. I think what happens is there's 4 phases we go through. We start off as soulmates. Then we transition to role mates, duties, responsibilities. Then we lose a connection and ultimately we just become roommates. And then when things go really bad, we become cellmates, where we feel trapped in a marital prison. So we have to kind of reverse engineer it and figure out, how do we get back to that original place? Because originally, where there was connection, there was romance, there was seduction, there was intimacy, all those things were there. That was the language of attraction.
Right.
When you stop doing it and somebody else outside of the marriage does it, that's the language of seduction.
Difference between attraction and seduction, people.
The person who does it. Because they're both doing the same thing, but it's we stop doing it and we create a pathway for somebody else to catch our spouse's attention, because they're doing what we're no longer doing.
Now, here's the thing.
That's so good.
They're doing what nobody else is doing. Because sometimes we could be in a relationship and people don't. Do you believe the couple should mention what they're into? Because some people got some exotic concepts in their mind about what they like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
so
I think
are you against, I'm not saying what you do, but I'm saying, listen, this people freaky out here. Are you against toys coming back into the scenario?
Are you asking me? Am I against
Well,
toys?
let's ask you.
Or are you asking me what advice do I give to my clients?
Toys are for adults.
Yeah. I mean, but listen, here's the deal. Mutual satisfaction in the relationship, right? So somebody asked the question, because I was on a podcast the other day, he likes peeing and spitting.
Peeing where?
He likes peeing on me and spitting on me.
Some people like that.
During sex.
I'm not saying...
Should I just go along with that to accommodate him? I said, well, is it mutually beneficial?
Right.
I said, do you both enjoy that? If you feel humiliated, degraded, subjugated, then no, you don't want to do that.
Did she say she liked it?
She didn't answer the question. I guess she was asking for a friend. But the point is,
she was asking for a friend.
So what? She was asking for somebody.
Hold on a second.
But see, this is why we have to have
But these are
real
conversations.
conversations.
Because here's the thing.
And I think
in the church world, people get like I don't know what people like, but somebody there likes that. And people
do.
Yeah, so, I mean, but that's the thing. When you like this level of, let's say you like this level of freakiness and you're trying to bring this in to enhance your relationship, the other person may like it. And one person is already adamant about this is what I like. And like he said, it has to be mutual. But then one person could be like, oh, trying to be, oh, I got to be holy to God. I can't have that toy. You can't chain me. You can't do this. You can't. But it's about to make that relationship.
It goes back to what they were saying. It goes back to the communication and having a real conversation.
Have those conversations.
Just like you sit down and have conversation about your finance. How much student loan do you have? What's your credit score? And I'm talking about if you're about to get married, what's your credit score? Because that debt is going to be my debt, right? That's going to be mine.
Yeah,
it's the same intensity that you should do about sex. What do you like? What don't you like? And I think the church has shunned sex in that conversation so much that people are not having that conversation. So you can have a conversation with someone and they say, hey, well, I think normal sex for me is twice every day. But they didn't have that conversation. And the normal for the other person is maybe once or twice every week. So now it's this unspoken thing. Nobody's talking about, nobody's communicating. And now you have an issue and you have a problem. But
it's important.
It's very important.
Yeah,
but going to like what you like and saying, you know what, we need to sit down. We need to schedule a time and we need to talk about, and that could be difficult for people who are not married, because y'all sitting there talking about sex, you're going to start feeling some type of way. You're going to be like, and that can, that, do you agree? Like that can lead into something. If me and you sitting on the couch and we talk about, oh, well, I like when he do this, or I like when you do this, y'all going to eventually feel in some type of way. So it can be, but I think you should have real conversations. Hey, let's go to Starbucks. Let's go to whatever. Let's over FaceTime. And I want to have a real conversation about what you like, what I like, and we can communicate about sex. It's so important.
We have a book called Pillow Talk. 50 Questions of Extraordinary Sex.
Okay.
Did you bring any?
I didn't bring any, but you go on our website, commercial, couplesacademy.org, and really it unpacks everything from what do you find romantic? How do you want me to initiate? What positions do you like? Do you like toy? Like everything's in there.
What if they never had sex?
They should still have the conversation.
Yeah. Especially sometimes you don't know what you like.
Right. Absolutely. I think if you've never had sex and now you get married, then that's another set of issues, because there's a sexual desire or expectation that the partner has that you can't fulfill. So I think before you get married, you should absolutely be having sexual conversations without a shadow of a doubt. My wife and I, we didn't have sex before we got married to each other. But we certainly had sexual conversations because we needed to know. Like, if I can't get all up in it, I need to at least know what you like, what you desire, and we can figure some things out so that when we do get married, we have some understanding and expectation of how this is going to go.
Yeah.
Now, somebody's
asked a question really quick. I think
let's get the question because we're going to have to wrap it up soon.
They said a virgin doesn't know what they like. So how do you, and I think you just answered that.
Well, here's the deal. We accumulate beliefs and ideas along the way that don't necessarily serve us. Like, real talk, I'm counseling a couple right now. I was counseling them before they got married. It's been 7 months since they've gotten married. They still have not had sex. She was a virgin. She has all of this fear and anxiety and trepidation. She thinks she's going to experience a high level of pain. It's been 7 months. They still haven't had sex. He is going through hell.
How long was it before they got married?
They were together for at least 2 years.
So 2 years and 7 months.
2 years and 7 months. And he's had sex. She hasn't had sex. And we're working through this issue. But the point is, they need to have, we've unpacked that. I didn't know to what degree she had this level of fear till they got married. Because I thought, okay, finally we can celebrate, boom. But then all this stuff, church tradition.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Cultural influence, all of these things influence how we show up and how we think about sex.
And I think I don't know if she's a Christian or not, but I think if she is, a good thing would be for her to go into the Word and see, okay, let me see how, because sex is good. God created it.
Sex is good.
And the feelings that we have, God created those. The organs that we have for sex, God, all that is, we don't have to be ashamed of that. Those are good things. So when she sits there and think like, these are good things, this is not meant to harm or hurt me. However, my mind and my idea of sex could be a little bit perverted, but also seeing like, I shouldn't withhold any good thing from my husband. My husband shouldn't withhold anything from me, because even doing that, we see in scripture that if a husband withholds anything from his wife, his prayers could be hindered.
Yeah, that's true.
That is how much God cares about the covenant of marriage. Like, I'm not even hearing your prayers because you and
That's
your wife
true.
ain't even on the same, you know what I mean?
But check this out. A lie told 1,000 times
That's
is
true.
more powerful than the truth told once.
Yep.
So you have to read that scripture and get it in your heart and your mind just as much, if not more, than the lie that you've been telling yourself, because that lie has become cemented in your psyche. And so a lot of times we have to unlearn and relearn all over again.
Because now if he's laid out versus it being quote unquote saying an ultimatum, but the conversation of how can I help you through this? Because there are emotional thing, or there is an emotional part of me that needs this. So with that, how can we get through this together? Because
Yes.
I have to be honest with you, I don't know how much longer I can last.
Right.
And
Wh-
then
how would
you
you
gave
answer
an
that,
ultimatum,
Danielle?
but you didn't
No.
say this is an ultimatum.
If he
You
said
feel
that
what I'm
to
saying?
me,
So you told her that, listen,
Yeah.
I'm going through some stuff. How can we get through
It's
this?
the way you
so when
say
it comes
it.
to a point
Right,
to where
right.
you say, babe, I can't do this anymore. You told her I was having a hard time. What can I do to help?
I just like words.
You gave her all the options, right?
and now it's up to
Versus,
her.
because to some people, words are very powerful. Ultimatum. Oh, you ain't getting this for another 9 months now. You give me an ultimatum. Like, it can go all types of ways with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to backtrack just a little bit, then we're going to answer that question as far as the communication. The one thing that people don't do is communicate with themselves.
That's, yes.
What do I want
like.
out of this?
Right.
What do I like?
Right.
I don't even know what I like.
And then
Before
I'm
I have
expecting
this
you to please
conversation
me.
with another person, let me digest this on myself. Am I? And here's the thing too. Let words have power. Society has labeled those that like higher levels of pleasure freaks. No, if I'm with my partner
that's
that I
true.
love and I'm married, I'm not a freak.
Y'all can do whatever y'all
I like
want.
pleasing my partner, and I like to be pleased at a certain level. That don't make me a freak.
That's true.
But the rap video society has labeled me a freak, so now it becomes taboo for me to even speak about what I
Right.
like. You know what I mean?
and now they got to
Because I don't want to be called a hoe, a
else.
freak, or this, et cetera, et cetera.
Now you might hide that.
Right?
Now you might be
You
hiding
might
that
hide
while
it.
you with your partner. You like
Exactly.
that,
But
like Asani
unfortunately,
was saying.
a lot of people do that.
They
right?
hide.
So
does that lead to
when we're single
Infidelity.
and I'm not in a committed, emotional, loving relationship with you, I'm going to do all types of things. But
Yep.
now that I'm married and you're my wife and I hold you in this regard, I can't do what I used to do because that was dirty and bad and wrong. So now I rob my spouse of what so many other people got of me, and that's the problem. So it's the wrong mindset that
And
we
check
take
this
into
out.
a relationship in the first
Take
place.
yourself.
Hold on,
take,
hold on,
take,
hold on,
take,
hold on.
Wait,
everybody.
y'all, I gotta
take
ask
hold
this
on.
question,
Take
y'all.
everybody in
We
this
about to- we
room
about
as
to
far
bring
as
it to a
that.
wrap, y'all.
Imagine this.
Okay.
Imagine everybody knows us on certain platforms, right? We're on stage. We're looking all prep. That same person, you like, you're a freak, but you were
Right.
just on stage and talking.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, look.
I'm all people.
I gotta.
Go ahead.
I
Go.
gotta-
Go,
okay.
baby.
I don't care how
So
you view
I've
me.
heard so many men say,
I'm a
"Well, I need to see. I need to know how the sex is before I marry the person."
Okay. No, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Get more to the question.
What do y'all feel
Hold
about
on,
that?
hold on. Here's what I have to say to that question.
I need
Everybody-
to drive the car before I buy it.
Here's what I'm going to say to that question. You guys, we're bringing it to a close.
Okay.
We're going to come back.
Oh, no.
This is VPA POV. Valuable people attract people of value. I like to thank my guests for coming on here. I want all of you guys to tell the people where they can find you at your social media platforms, your websites, because, man, you got to go dig in and get behind the scenes with these people, man. Hassani, let's go, man.
couplesacademy.org. You can find out more about us. Also, we have a daily show, the Couples Academy Show. So go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Click that notification button and join us every day.
Danielle.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Danielle Touche with an E at the end. I'll be right there.
Yes, DJ Fidelf at IG, DJFADELF. That's also DJFidelf.com. But tap into my wife and I on YouTube, Egypt and Mike, the home team. We got a lot of good things coming up, TV shows, etc. Pick up the book, Single Man, Married Man at singlemanmarriedman.com. I am one of the authors with that. And yeah.
And I am Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I focus on repairing, evaluating, and giving you the tools you need to maintain healthy relationships. Check me out, JamelDJackson.com, the author of the book, The Value of Relationships. All social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Jamel D. Jackson. Over and out.
Somebody, they're saying don't leave.